this weekend's been going well. It's good because I was disappointed with the results at Knock Hill. I think if I just rode around on an open practice day at the track, I'd probably enjoy it to ride. But results-wise, and when you've got to race the superbikes that we've got nowadays with the horsepower they've got, it's just difficult. And it's the same for everybody, but for some reason I just can't adapt to that circuit. And every year I go with a good mindset and a positive outlook, and it just seems to always give me negative results. But anyway, we've come here and everything's been pretty good. The first session yesterday was a bit disappointing. There was a setting wrong with the electronics, and when I rolled the throttle off for momentarily, the throttle still felt like it was open, and that's like the sensation of the throttle saying on, and that's quite unnerving. Just obviously cleaning off the flies and bugs and things that the visor picks up during the session, and just prepping the visor surface so it's clean and ready to take on the new tear-offs. So at this point I'm taping the tear-off to the visor because I want the tear-off posts position to have the tear-off loose so that the tear-off can come off easily, but then the tear-off will move on the visor. So it's necessary to put tape on the tear-off to hold the tear-off in place while maintaining an easy removal of the tear-off. The placement of the tape on the second tear-off is more critical because you need it slightly overlapping on the side closer to the middle, so that when you pull the first tear off, it doesn't pull the second tear off with it. And on the end furthest away from the tear off tab, it needs to be on the outside. The position of the tape needs to be further towards the outside for the same reason, so that the first tear off doesn't pull the leading edge of the second tear off's tape. And then I just fit the visor back on and check the function. Everything's correct. I'll leave this protective film on until just before the session, so if I do accidentally touch the visor, then I don't leave any fingerprints because I've got that protective film on. Make sure it latches tight, secure, ready to go for the next session. But then the second practice was much better. The bike felt really good. I did a series of laps, and we were at one point I was P1. You know, I didn't stay there for long, but you know I was quick enough at one point in the session yesterday in FP2 to be first, and then we made a couple of changes which we hoped would fine-tune the settings, and the couple of changes we made were in the wrong direction. The bike just seemed to be worse than what we started out with. So we tried a couple more things in this morning's practice. Nothing that really showed any great potential. So we sort of ended up back in the range where we were when we started free practice 2 yesterday. We've sort of tried a couple of options either side of where we were, but that's sort of been the best. In qualifying, I managed to drop into the 1 minute 47 bracket. with a 147.7 on the final lap, which suggests that maybe the tyre wear is good. If I was able to do it at the end of the qualifying session, although it's not a long qualifying, it's still to do my best lap at the last lap of qualifying suggests that maybe the tyre life is going to be good for the race. I'm trying to look at the positives at the moment. I think I ended up 5th maybe in the end. 5th? Yeah, it was 5th. So I just want to put you back. Yeah. So 5th or 7th, and it's not a big difference, I suppose. It's well, it is. It's 5th is on the 2nd row, 7th is on the 3rd row. So I'm definitely happy to be on the 2nd row. From there, I can put a good race together. Hopefully, get a good start. The guys obviously analysing all the data and trying to refine anything that we can. But I believe that we'll start the race with the bike just as it was when we finished the qualifying. I think that's the best package we've had this weekend. I'm not convinced that's the best the bike can be by a long ways, but I'm glad that that's the best we've had this weekend. It's the safest option. And then maybe with tomorrow's morning warm-up, we'll have an opportunity to experiment a little bit more. But for the moment, the safest option is to ride with something, a package that I know and I'm familiar with and that we've been on track with. So. Yeah, we showed some improvements throughout the qualifying, and on the 2nd row, so we're in a strong position to fight. It looks like we've got an awesome crowd here today, so hopefully the clouds stay away long enough we can get a full race in, and it's entertaining to watch. I certainly want to try and get back on that podium. It's eluded us the last couple of rounds, so desperate to get back on there again and prove what we can do. But yeah, it's a sprint race as they call it, so it's a little bit shorter than what we have to deal with tomorrow. But it looks like our tyre wear is okay, so I'm quite confident about the race distance. But until we actually get a race under our belt, there's no point even talking about it. Might as well just wait for the lights to go out and see what happens. Start initially, the first say 100 metres, but then when we got to turn 1, Leon kind of broke and then hesitated because the group was packing together, and then I ended up sort of like squeezed a bit. And I didn't get the worst off, but it just wasn't the best situation. And then a few laps later, there was a situation with Tito and Tommy, and I kind of rolled off because I've seen some bad accidents around this place. So I kind of rolled off and give the guys some space to get their equipment back in line. And yeah, it's like always here, as soon as you roll off, someone's ready to pounce. So Christian come flying through, and at that point I felt like maybe I was losing a bit of momentum, and but I just sort of got my head back down, and I see all the crowd around the track and knew we had a good lot of people to entertain here, so I did my best to do the entertainment. And I would have loved to win, obviously, but second's a great result. Yeah, you're right, the start of the weekend wasn't going well. I mean, the opening laps of the first practice, the bike had an issue with some sensors, and it was playing up, and had spent a fair bit of time in the garage. Fortunately for FP2, we made a good step forward, and I felt like we had some momentum, but then late in FP2, every change we made was sort of like gone down like the wrong way. And we tried again in FP3, but didn't really make any improvements with the bike, so I kind of ended up with sort of like combination of what we had in FP2, just with some slight adjustments, more like fine tuning, and that's what I went out qualifying with, and qualified fairly strong, and the bike felt good. But because I haven't had that same bike all through the weekend, I've sort of been working with the changes. Starting that race, I wasn't really confident with the bike under me, and then the early laps I kind of lost a few places and wasn't really forcing my position on people, and you need to do that here. And then as the race sort of got on, I got more relaxed with the bike and understood it better, and it was staying really consistent. The tyre grip was good, and I had a few moments, you know, I mean, like we all do, that, you know, spinning the tyre a little, but nothing that I couldn't manage. And I thought, you know, that I would just have to settle for third at one point. When I got past Jason, it looked like Glenn and Tommy were too far away. But I actually managed to close them up because they were fighting each other as well, and my pace was good at the end. So in the final turn, you know, I didn't have that planned, but you know, I kind of got to the point where I was going around Coram, and I could see, you know, an opportunity. So I just sort of like rode around the outside of Glenn and then waited for him to brake, and I just sort of parked at the apex and was able to make the pass. And yeah, just pleased for all the team and the sponsors and everyone that's a supporter to be back on the podium. And you know, fair credit to Tommy. He rode a brilliant race and deserved the win.
Yeah, that's right. We had a good race. You know, during the weekend we've been making a lot of changes, so I wasn't absolutely certain of how the bike would be in the race. I did have confidence to a degree that it would be good from a few key indicators, but you can never guarantee anything in racing. So I was sort of a little bit hopeful on the grid, but not certain. And as it turns out, the bike worked really well, and we're able to put a fantastic race together. And you know, the crowd have been amazing. They've been telling us how great it was to watch, and hopefully we can put on another entertaining race today. Fair play to Tommy. I was riding as hard as I could, trying to slow everyone up as much as I could, riding a wide bike, but Tommy had it over us in that race. Got to accept that and look at where we can improve. Yeah, I obviously got a good start off the opening part of the race, and yeah, was trying my best to sort of control the speed, trying to save the tyre because I was expecting the race, you know, with the race being a bit longer today. Was hoping to be strong at the end of the race, so I was trying not to use up too much tyre early on. And then I ended up in third, and then the red flag. And fortunately this weekend, I don't know if it's a track or the conditions or the temperature even, but the tyre seems to be okay for coming in and out. Like during practice, I would come into the pits and go back out, and the tyre would still maintain the lap time. So even though we had the red flag, I wasn't too worried that we would lose pace, so that was good. Yeah, the second leg got another good start. You know, trying again to control the race, and this time, you know, just ignoring the tyre consumption, just going as hard as I could. But it didn't seem to have the same feel and speed as I had yesterday. So the bike's the same, so we just need to look at you know, what variations we could have experienced from yesterday to today. But fair credit to Tom. He rode a better race than me and was superior, so definitely deserved the win. So you know, we can focus now on trying to improve some of our weaknesses and try and put a better race together for race 3. Yeah, it'd be fantastic, but everyone else on the grid wants that same spot, so we've got to fight for it. Hopefully the weather holds off and we can get this race finished in dry conditions. That would be better. I'm on the second row, so it's still a good position. Obviously front row will be better, but you know, I'd like to hope we can get this race done the full distance without any interruptions. But you know, you never know. That's the nature of BSB. Anything can happen. So I just got to keep my nose clean, try and ride smooth, and stay out of trouble in the early laps, and then see if we can you know, put pressure on whoever's around in the closing laps, and see if we can, you
position ourselves right to be in front on the last. Where do I start? It's hard because everything was going so well with 2 podiums. Even earlier in the weekend, we had a few setbacks, but then we worked hard and got by those and qualified good, and then race 1 was a podium, and then race 2 again was another podium, 2 seconds. So, we kind of felt like we were building up more and more momentum and looking better as the weekend was going. Then we made a little change for that final race, and it felt really like we'd improved it. Maybe just found that sweet spot a little bit sweeter, and was in a perfect position leading the race, and then some sort of component failure like a sensor or whatever has gone out, and the bike stopped. So I've said it's better to have been in the lead and lost it than to have never been in the lead at all. So I think that's the most positive sort of look I can put on it, and we move on to Brands Hatch, fit and healthy, and everyone will be motivated to try and bounce back and put us at the front again like we have been this weekend.